Good morning. And let's talk a little bit about the reality of living in an RV full time and the need to get away every now and then. That's today's topic. So come along, grab your coffee, and join me. When Bob first approached this idea to me about living full time in an RV, I was a little bit nervous. I do like my space. And while I have embraced this new lifestyle of living tiny, I really enjoy the minimalistic aspect of it, getting away from all the clutter and learning to just live with what you really need. It's a really freeing type of way to live, and I really enjoy it. One of the things I did ask of him, though, was that while I recognize we're doing this because he wants to fish all summer as a fishing guide in the mountains of Colorado, I was still going to be here. And so I wanted to have at least one or two getaways in the winter, particularly to someplace warm, where we could just relax and enjoy a little bit of space that was not the RV. And that's what we did this past weekend. We had our annual getaway. And I want to share with you a few things that I've learned about getting away from the RV and why it's good and how we do it so that we both enjoy our time away. The first thing that I suggest is that you do explore your surroundings. So you might want to begin by drawing a concentric circle around where you live, putting yourself right in the middle, and just seeing what is an hour away or 2 hours away, or maybe, 3 or 4, depending how far you want to drive. I don't suggest necessarily taking 2 or 3 days to drive somewhere unless you're planning for this to be an extended vacation rather than just like a weekend getaway. This is particularly true because of the price of gasoline. So being sensitive to the pricing issues of the timing that you go, whether it's a holiday season. We just went during spring break. The other thing to think about is obviously at this time of year, the further north you go, it's still cold. The more south you go, the more likely you're going to have a little bit warmer weather. But that's not always true. The next thing that really makes your getaway work is by doing some good planning. Do know the time of year that you're going. We knew it was spring break, so we knew it might be a little bit crowded. However, we did find that it wasn't horribly so. The other thing that we needed to plan for was the fact that we brought Miss Izzy with us. And so we needed to have dog-friendly areas to take her to. And then we ended up taking her to a doggy daycare that we thoroughly researched for a bit of time so we could go to some places that did not allow puppies to go with us. Now, just a few things about dog-friendly areas. I do think that you do need to, again, do your research and check out and find out a variety of hotels or staycation kinds of places that allow you to have your pet with you. You do want to make sure you bring things, even though they have their license tags and things like that, you do need to carry their vet paperwork regarding their rabies shots and other kinds of things, especially the communicable diseases that dogs can give each other, because most of the doggy daycares do require that kind of paperwork. And if you're going to take her to a place where other dogs are going to be, even like dog parks, even if you don't use a doggy daycare, you want them to have these vaccines so that they will be protected from the diseases that could be in the parks. There are several places online like Bring Fido, and you can just actually Google dog-friendly places in the city that you're going to, and they will let you know how friendly they are. Now, I have found that most cities want to be dog-friendly, and they'll proclaim that. But then when you really look at what's available, they are dog-friendly outside, but you can't take them anywhere, and that's a little difficult. We usually find places that have some kind of an outside eating area, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them will allow you to bring your pets in there. Now, you need to be very cautious because depending on how social your pet is or isn't, then that could be an issue. Izzy's usually pretty good when we take her places, although she's very protective of us. And she likes some dogs and she doesn't like other dogs, and you never know which one she's going to like. On this trip, there was one time we did have to put her in the car in timeout because she just didn't like this little French bulldog that was next to us at all. So now that you've planned for the puppy, it's time to plan for what you're going to do. So when you select a location, you might want to have a conversation with your significant other, and if you're going to have kids with you, with them as well, and find out what is it that you really want to do during this time away. Now, we knew the location we were going to stay in, but we also needed to understand what each other wanted in that location. So we chose to go to Pagosa Springs, Colorado, which is noted for hot springs. Now, we knew that we were going there just to get away from the snow. We knew that we were going there just to relax and not really do a lot of sightseeing or extra walking around or things like that. And Pagosa Springs is a good place to do that. It's an absolutely beautiful drive from where we are through the mountains. You go through a couple mountain passes on the 4-hour drive to get to Pagosa Springs, Colorado. So going through this scenic drive was something we knew it was going to take. And there was a couple stops along the way that we wanted to stop at. And we knew when we got there that we were going to have one day just to drive around the town, maybe take a little walk. The next day we were going to spend at the spa. And then the next day was going to be traveling home. So it was a short trip. It was a getaway trip. Part of the journey was getting there and coming home too, not just getting there as fast as we could, doing as much as we could, and leaving as quick as we can. Now, one of the things that we knew we didn't want to do on this particular trip was to spend a lot of time in shops, spending extra money. This was not about spending money on things. Again, we live in an RV like you, so we don't have room to bring a bunch of stuff back. There were a couple places for us to eat that were recommended to us, and we were looking forward to doing that. There was a coffee shop I wanted to stop at, and I was looking forward to that. And really, it was just about having time away and spending time at the spa. Now, just a quick note for those of you that are not stationary in your RV, but you do travel in your RV, there are many RV parks between Colorado Springs, which is the nearest city to where we really live, and Pagosa Springs. Some of these are nicer than others, as usual, and some of them are not open until May because you are going through a couple mountain passes, which may require chains and things like that, or might be difficult to climb when it's really snowy. So I would recommend that you would check on the opening dates before you plan a trip, particularly to Pagosa Springs from Colorado Springs.
We hope you enjoyed today's video and that you got a couple good ideas. If you liked it, would you please do us the favor of liking and subscribing? Thanks. Until next time, bye-bye. Whether you are in your retirement years, heading there, or nowhere close, we have great things to share with all stationary RVers, and many of our tips work for Nomad RVers as well.